Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. And thank you so much for taking your time to either be watching this live or watching this at a later time. My name is Kelley Alexander, and I am the program director at the Sanctuary at Sedona. And myself and the founder, Dean Taraborelli, have been doing these Facebook Lives now for over a month. So today, the topic that I wanted to talk about was finding truth and also staying in kindness. I know that many of you are like myself, and the past almost 2 months now has been a real time of soul searching and really diving into kind of big questions about who are we and what's happening and how can we show up for ourselves and others during this time. I know for myself, most of my life asking a lot of the big questions is why am I here and what is my purpose and is there a God and what is consciousness? It's been a journey that I've been on since I remember as a child. And on this journey, as many of you know, it's not a particularly easy one. I know that I'm a pretty emotionally sensitive, sometimes volatile person. I take things on and I feel them deeply, as I know many of you do as well. And so this time period, I've definitely been on this unexpected, actually, emotional roller coaster where I feel like this is the time in history that I've almost been born into participating in, that I've been waiting for this. It's why I'm living and working in a conscious community and doing the work that I'm doing. And so I'll have moments of feeling like, wow, the time has arrived, and a sense of hope and optimism and empowerment that I have tools and practices and awarenesses to help. And then I can go almost completely to the opposite of the full spectrum, where I'm feeling almost a dark night of facing some existential questions, of feeling hopeless or despair, that the problems that we're facing are so great that what can I do? And so I find myself kind of going from one extreme to the other and sort of navigating these different waters as I go. Fortunately, I do live in a community, and I live in a larger community as well in Sedona, Arizona, where people are able to at least share these concerns and we have an open dialogue. However, this past week, I have really been struggling, went into a bit of a dark night moment the last week where I was focusing a lot on beliefs, as I've shared with you in several of our live sessions, that I believe that our beliefs affect every single thing in our life. Beliefs are our perception. So I've, of course, been really digging deeply into my own beliefs during this time about what it's all about, my role in it, how I can be the best version of myself during this. How can I help? Like, how can I participate in a positive way during this time? And it's interesting because I became really clear that I was feeling very strongly about some of my beliefs. I have very strong beliefs about the virus. I have very strong beliefs about why the data that's coming in and how it's interpreted. I have very strong beliefs about the fact that I believe that our civil liberties and our rights are without meaning to necessarily. We're giving them away or having them taken. I have deep concerns about many things, and I realize that I have this fear that if I can't get people to wake up to my belief system, that something bad's going to happen. That if people don't have my awareness of consciousness or my perception of what's happening, then it means that bad things, whether it's the world is not being able to continue, whether we live in a world that's not free and open, whatever it is. These are my beliefs. And it's interesting because I understood that not everyone was going to believe the way I believe. However, I was surprised to find that a lot of people in my inner circle that I cared deeply about and have unbelievable respect for, that have been doing deep work and are conscious, kind people who serve their community in various roles, actually don't believe the way I believe. They have their own set of beliefs. And it was really interesting this past couple of weeks to be having conversations with them, because I saw myself going through these interesting reactions internally of like, I can't believe this person doesn't believe this way, or kind of almost feeling betrayed that how could they not believe this? I thought we all taught this, or this is the way it should be. And that's when I had this big awakening that, boy, I wonder if the real problem isn't virus, not virus, fear pandemic, virus pandemic, whatever it is. It's the fact that when people are caught in a crisis moment, as we are right now, we have strong beliefs. And I think that at the core of all of our beliefs is that if somehow other people don't believe this, something bad will happen. You know, just like myself. I mean, I was talking to my friends and they really feel strongly that if, you know, people don't wear face masks or do certain things, that basically we're hurting our elderly population. They believe that. And they're caring people. That's a belief structure. And then I realized this has been going on through the ages. I mean, this battling of the beliefs and our fear that if somehow we can't convince someone of our belief structure that something bad is going to happen is at the core of so much unrest. You know, I mean, look at it when even Christians, different sects within Christianity, the Protestants and the Catholics really believed if we can't convince somebody of this belief, something bad will happen. Their souls will be in jeopardy, or, you know, they'll be burning in hell, or people that have believed so strongly in one economic system over another that if somehow we, you know, weren't capitalistic, we would be socialist, and that would mean control, and bad things are going to happen. I mean, look at all the wars that are fought over this on a global scales. We see this in families, you know, people that maybe don't understand, you know, people's different gender identities, or the different sexual preferences. Maybe the parents really are frightened that, oh my God, if I can't convince my child to believe a different way, their life is going to be horrible and they're not going to be accepted. And it all goes back, I feel, I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt, that at the core of all of this, of our beliefs and our need to convince and our need to be activists and our need to, you know, share our truth, is that we really do want the same thing. We want the world to be a better place. We don't want suffering. We don't want to see the world not being able to go forward in a new and empowered way. It's just that we all have different beliefs about how to get there. And it feels like we're at that crossroad again. Speaking from myself too, because I got caught in it as well, is that if we stay stuck in just the dialogue of the beliefs and the combativeness of the beliefs, or the shutting down because we're afraid to share our beliefs, or any of that area where the beliefs literally become the beginning and the end, then I don't know that we're going to really ever be able to have a world going forward that we want to. And so that really got me thinking a lot about that. How can I be in my integrity and my truth, my perception of truth based on my beliefs, and do it in a way, because of course it's hit my limbic brain. I really believe these beliefs are big. My belief right now, I believe if people don't feel this way, something bad will happen. How do I hold that, knowing that other people are feeling exactly that same way, and allow them to be in their truth as well as they know it, and be able to stay in integrity, and also be able to do this with kindness and compassion. And I have been really struggling with this all weekend long. I feel like I finally had sort of an epiphany and a moment of my own heart aha-ness yesterday around it. And it was perfect timing because I know it's going to come and be sharing today. So what I came to about this is, how can I be in my beliefs and allow other people to be in theirs, when these beliefs are really hitting home on a very core level. Is the first thing is to really watch myself when I get into something I called paradigm attachment disorder or cognitive dissonance. Meaning, am I so caught in my belief, based on really thinking it's true, that even if new data or new information comes in, I automatically reflects in a reflective kind of gesture, push it away. Like, no, I'm not going to allow anything in that disrupts my belief structure, that will threaten it. And I can maybe do that by not hearing it, by becoming defensive, by shutting down, by only allowing conversations with people that I know affirm my belief structures. And that's called paradigm attachment disorder. I'm attached to my paradigm, and I'm refusing to let in any other data. Unfortunately, we see that a lot in the medical and scientific community. The scientific method is this amazing method where we have a hypothesis, and then we get new information, and if it fits the hypothesis, great, it might become a theory and we move on. But if we get new data that tells us something different, like the Earth isn't flat. That's debatable back in the debate, but let's say it's round. But back in the day, that idea was completely ridiculed, the world being flat. And then it became violently opposed, and people were killed by saying that the world was round. And then eventually it becomes just accepted knowledge. And I have to really watch myself that whatever I believe is true, am I open to at least being open to having my perspective bigger, or to take in new information, or that possibly my belief will change. And that I don't have to get stuck just in believing one thing. And that has served me well, even through this process where I have been hearing different people's points of view, and have altered mine or been more open than I would have been before. The other is to really remember humanity. I was thinking a lot about my grandfather around this. He's passed away, but he was very close and a true inspiration in my life. He was also a diehard Republican and lived on Fox News, and really was a colonel in the Air Force and fought for our country, and really came from that generation, and was very, very hardcore in the theories of the Democrats and the Republicans, and he and I would go at it around a lot of different issues. But it was so interesting. As much as my grandfather didn't want the welfare state and was always mad and othering other people, in our neighborhood, in his neighborhood that he lived in, it was a lower income neighborhood. He built it back in the 50s, his house, and then over the years, various people had come in, and we had halfway houses, and we had single parents, and we had people that are struggling. And my grandfather was the one that was always repairing their homes, always giving money, always offering rides, providing food, providing help, paying for things. And it was the most interesting thing, because I saw it firsthand, that when he got beyond the label of what their color was, or whether they were on welfare or not, or they were drug addicts or whatever, he really saw the humanity and basically adopted the entire neighborhood. And I always remember that. So even as I'm out and about, and I hear somebody who has a belief that just it hits me at my core of, I can't believe someone believes this, my own judgment, I immediately try to go find their humanity and connect with that, because I know at our core we're both wanting the same thing, and that's deeper connection, families safe, a world that we can breathe fresh air and eat good food and live without suffering. And so those are the two main things that I try to remember, is to stay out of a paradigm attachment disorder, remember people's humanity. And the final piece that I really want to talk about is that regardless of how I feel, and I can get really heated and be a good arguer. It's probably why my grandfather always said I should be going to law school, was that I can have a point and I can have a position, and I don't have to be afraid of it, but I also don't have to beat people up with it, and I can always be kind. That just because we are forceful and have a thought that we want to share, that never, ever, ever does that have to be below the belt. It doesn't have to be personalized. I can do it with a sense of my own voice, but I can be kind. Because I will tell you, at the end of the day, I don't think I want to live in a world where maybe some theory or some political idea or something even about survival trumps how I treat another human being ever. I think if this is my last day and my last breath, I'm not going to think, wow, I won that argument, or wow, I got my point across, or I'm right. I think it's going to be, the big question is, how kind was I? And if I wasn't, did I have a good recovery? Have I cared about being of service to others? Have I taken the best care I can of my own self and the planet we live in? Like, how did I walk as a human being today? So that was really my big takeaway from my own dark night weekend that I had, was that during this time, that with our very strong beliefs that are hitting home because they're affecting our health, the survival of life as we know it, potentially even survival of our planet eventually with sustainability issues, that even though we're talking about those deep core issues that mean that give us meaning and truth and define who we are, that we can do that and not lose our humanity and not lose our hearts and not lose our kindness and not remember that we really are all in this together, and that we at the very core are all wanting the exact same things. So wishing all of you a beautiful week, and hope that you are taking really beautiful care of yourselves during this time, that you're giving yourself the space. If you're finding yourself kind of going through the emotional waves, that it's okay. I know it doesn't always look pretty or feel good, but it's part of this process. At least if you're awake, it's part of this process that we're in right now. And really encourage you all to check in with Dean on Friday, who will be sharing some of his experience and wisdom at 12 o'clock noon hour. Blessings to everybody. Take care.